Shoo! Sorry guys, gotta be kind of quiet. It's kind of late right now, but I wanted to come on here and make a quick little video about, normally, man, it looks all janked up. These working hats, But anyway, I want to come on here and make a video it seems like for the past 2 Wednesdays. I think it's Wednesday. Well, Thursday now because it's midnight, but July 3rd. For the past 2 Wednesdays, me and my grandmother went to see movies. It's kind of our thing. Yeah, it looks all there it is. For the past 2 Wednesdays, me and my grandmother were going to see movies. What did we see last week? We saw, not Michael, what was it? Toy Story 5. Yeah, that was a good movie. I really like how they were tailoring it to the kids, the generation like me that grew up with it. That I was older, there was a lot more adult sentiment into it. There was comedy, but there was a lot of heart in it, and how technology is changing the new generation. But anyway, and how to kind of use it properly and not get not use it wrong, like not bullying people, and then also not using it for imagination and playing and stuff. But anyway, how to use it properly to connect to people, and then play and have fun with people in real life. But anyway, I wanted to talk about young Washington. That he goes sick of me filming. But anyway, Young Washington was just a great movie. I feel like it's gonna get, it's by a producing company of Angel, who's got a lot of great movies coming out, studio, and I feel like they're gonna get downplayed and underrated because of all the great films that are coming out this year, not just right now, but at the end of the year with Avengers Doomsday, and I'm not sure if Jumanji coming out? I think Jumanji's coming out at the end of the year, so Jumanji coming out, and live action Moana, so they're going to get kind of thrown to the wayside. But Young Washington, if you're really into biopics and I guess historical, obviously, it's just a great movie. I saw it and I'm like, you know what, I'm not really much into wars and all that kind of stuff, but it was just a great movie to watch. And the guy that played Young Washington at 22 years of age, I think his name was like William something. He was just amazing. Portrayed him well. I mean, obviously we didn't know what he was really like, but I think he did a great job, in my opinion. Obviously, I don't know what Washington was like when he was younger, but I imagine that they just put on a great film. He did a great job portraying someone of significance in his younger years. And but not only that, it was just amazing heart. Again, like Toy Story 5, just amazing heart. And especially me, who's trying to make it in my own industry. They show Washington wanting to be in the militia for the crown. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm not a historian. I'm just a watcher of movies. But it's just we know the historical figures and their significance and their kind of end story. I got that from watching Elvis back in 2023 and Michael this year. From Michael Jackson, but then seeing Young Washington, and just knowing he was the first president, and then him going across Delaware, and he was amazing, general. But you really don't know how he got that. You think they just, you think that he never had any setbacks, or he was just, he went to amazing school or this or that. He started out just wanting to be in the militia for the king, for the crown of England, for England. And forgive me, I don't know too much about the history. I just know we fought our independence and blah, blah, blah in 1776 and July 4th, which is coming up tomorrow. But just seeing his backstory, or at least what they portrayed in this movie, whether it's historically accurate, I don't know, but seeing what this movie portrayed, it was just amazing to see that he went, balls in, and didn't give a shit. He wanted to do what he wanted, and even though he didn't have the authority, he didn't have the schooling, didn't even finish, normal schooling, whatever they had back then, called grade school now. He didn't have anything. He just was like, you know what? That's what I want to fucking do. I'm gonna put my whole heart into it. And they said no, and he didn't give a crap. And I think that's an amazing story to teach people nowadays, and especially to show, especially me in like music industry. It's like, well, do I have any formal training? No, but I don't give a shit. I got a great voice, and I'm gonna show the world, and I don't care who's trying to stop me. Whoever wants to join me, come on. So it was just amazing to see that, and as I'm showing pictures here, it was just well done. It was filmed great. It definitely should win an award. I think it's definitely going to be underrated compared to all these other movies, but the thing that stood out most to me was that, he was setting up a fort. I think it was Fort Necessity, I think, and they were telling him, even his friend that was with him through thick and thin, I can't remember his name, but when he was surveying land for this upper high class family, or whoever he was, I can't remember his name, but of the territory of Ohio, which kind of looked like Montana. It didn't look like Ohio, but that's all right. He had a friend that he entrusted to get him through and survive, and it was amazing when they were in the river and they fell in, and I can't believe they survived that. But anyway, they was building that Fort Necessity, trying to get the French out of the territory, and I think, and even his friend was telling him, hey, you messed up. This is not where we should build fort. It's gonna flood. They can easily access from the trees. It was so many setbacks, and he was like, no, I'm going to stick with it. And his friend died because of it. Now, like I said, if this is true, I don't know. I'm just going off the movie. But his friend died because of it. And he had many setbacks, and he had to endure, and he had to surrender, and he had to retreat. But at the end of the day, he even gave up. But he went back, and he knew it was his calling, and he knew that there was a better life out here for these people in this new world, which is obviously nowadays where we are in America. But he knew there was a new world to be fought for, and he knew what he wanted. And it's just amazing to see that, definitely what people need nowadays, with believing in yourself and people changing themselves, trying to feel better. And it's like, we don't need to change ourselves. We need to fight for what our heart is telling us to fight for. And when we have setbacks, doesn't mean it wasn't meant for us. It means we need to, fight harder. And the big thing was when a lot of these so-called generals and upper class of the crown, well-conditioned soldiers and generals came in to save his ass, he backed down. He realized what he did wrong, backed down, and said, well, maybe I'm not meant for this. And he took on a lower ranking, and all these other generals that were fighting in so many different wars and across the pond didn't understand this terrain, but he did, and they died. And he just went up through the ranks from generals dying, but he kept going. And then the biggest calling card was when his friends and the friends of the guy that died, got captured, but, kind of captured. He ran into the storm, and when these other generals were like, no, we can't, we got to sacrifice them for what we have and surrender and retreat. And he was like, no, I made the mistake, and I'm going to go and I'm going to fix it. And that's what this country was built on. It was built on people that fought for it and didn't surrender. Well, there's nothing wrong with surrendering, but at the time, when people are in need, it's time to fight. There's no plan B. You go into the war. You go into the fight. And I think they did just an amazing job. And it was something we definitely need to see on the 250th anniversary of our country, what our country was built on. And it really helped me set a foundation for my career. And where, like, I'm not classically trained in anything. I learned to play guitar from a device on Shark Tank called Chord Buddy, and I just kept playing and playing and performing, and people loved it, and this is what I meant to do. And there's no plan B, you know. You're going to go into the war, go into the battle. And just because you lose a battle doesn't mean you lost the war. And I think it's just amazing to see, and the scenes were just amazing. And I just think that they did a phenomenal job. And, so that's what I kind of learned from this movie. And I don't know what I want, you know, this channel is just basically whatever videos I can pump out. You know, whatever videos I can pump out every day. So I kind of wanted to make a little video about this. But I think it's definitely, you don't, you know, like I said, if this is historically accurate, I don't know, but it's definitely, people don't see the fight in the beginning of a person, especially someone of legendary status. We only see the end result, and so it's amazing to see that someone who didn't have any training, he just went and did it, made mistakes, failed, got his friends killed, but he still went out there and he saved what we had at the end of the day. And seeing him in the battlefield here, showing some pictures, and when he, you know, had what he had left, and he raised his gun and stood there right in gunfire. I mean, he could have just died and been a keynote in history of nobody, and you know, just a fool. And one of the major quotes that stood out in the movie was when his half brother said, you know, even a pawn can take the king. And I think that's an important, very important quote. I think I'm gonna write a song about it. So, great movie. I think they did a phenomenal job, and I think that this movie should be among the greats of this year. There's a lot of great movies coming out, but it's going to be underrated compared to, you know, what the studio is, and not very many actors or actresses known in it. There was like one guy that I remember seeing in, I can't remember what his status was, but he was one of the noble, higher-ranking officials to the crown, I think, and towards the end, and he was in Night at the Museum 3 as one of the pharaohs. So I can't remember his name, but anyway, just an amazing movie, amazing heart, and I think definitely something that our country and the people in it need to see. How privileged we are to live in this country, and that's something definitely we need to remember. So it definitely personally pushed me forward and wanting to fight and keep doing these well, I don't want to say meaningless jobs, but the jobs that I don't really want to be doing right now, but it's important to keep myself going and keep staying the fight. And so that's all I wanted to get on here to say. I have to be quiet because my neighbors, it's late, so. But anyway, yeah, my grandmother loved it. She's not really into war movies, but it was amazing, and they filmed it phenomenal. You know, any green screen or whatever they used, you can't even tell. You know, whatever effects, CGI, it was just amazing. It looked real from the whole thing. And I would say, you know, top 3 of this year for me. So I hope you all have a good 4th. Stay safe, and I reckon in this video, I gotta figure out what to say at the end of these videos. I don't want to make it like, I don't want to steal someone else's shtick. I kind of want to be like Dale Brisby, like cowboy on, you know, that sounds stupid. I'll come up with something. Maybe end it with, and remember, even a pawn could take the king. See y'all. No, I don't know. But anyway, that was kind of cheesy. That was kind of weird, but anyway, it was a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, you definitely got to go see it in theaters. Coming out, just came out, I guess where I am in Kentucky, came out yesterday, Wednesday, July 2nd, but definitely be out today, July 3rd. So yeah, you go check it out. show them some love. I think they do like this whole like charity thing at the end. Can't remember for who, but they do. So look out for that, and I'll catch you guys. Catch you guys on the next one. See you guys. I do kind of this.